piercing. Should you wear acrylic and plastic jewelry or should you not? Coming up next on Pros and Cons by a Piercer, episode number 52, so stick around. For those who are new to the channel, my name is DaVo. I'm a professional body piercer and have been since 1994. I own and operate the Axiom Body Piercing Studio located here in Des Moines, Iowa, inside Skin Kitchen Tattoo. So when I talk to you about these things, I'm talking at a level of expertise as someone who has pierced thousands upon thousands of tongue piercings and help clients decide what would be the best size, jewelry type, etc. to wear on their tongue piercing for the long run. So, we're going to go through the pros and cons of acrylic jewelry in your tongue piercing, and generally your mouth. I'm going to give you 5 of each, but before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about bioplastic. Bioplastic is a trademark name. It really doesn't mean it is biocompatible and neither has a company that produces a majority of it been willing to supply information that's going to let us know that it's biocompatible. In fact, if you Google search bioplastic, what's going to come up is a Wikipedia page that explains that bioplastic is defined as plastic made with the least amount of ecological imprint, meaning recycled materials. It does not mean, the bio does not mean biocompatible. It means bio as in, yes, it's good for the environment. With that out of the way, let's move on to the pros of acrylic jewelry in your tongue piercing. The first one being is that it will generally crack or break before your teeth do. This is a huge advantage if you are extremely prone to biting down on the ball itself. However, it's my experience, your average person only bites down on it maybe once a year, twice a year. But if the jewelry sized correctly, this is not a major issue. However, if you're overly concerned about it, it is a good idea to go with acrylic because it's going to give before your teeth are. You're not going to have to worry about chipping teeth. Number 2, acrylic comes in a wide variety of different colors in designs. So there's a lot of variety out there from, your basic colors to candy stripe to rainbows to all kinds of fun, wild, crazy, wacky stuff. Number 3, you can get it in flesh color. Also, you can get them where they're shaped a little bit more flat or dome shaped, and even some that have a little bit of texture on it so that they blend more into the look of your tongue. Technically, you could probably hide it a little easier. I don't know if it really works because most of us notice the post at some point, and that barbell always goes up and down. And generally, I have to tell you, the people that notice tongue piercings the most often are who they're noticing is the people that play with them constantly. Number 4. Acrylic is very inexpensive. It is not a costly material. It does not cost as much to manufacture as metals do, so it's very inexpensive. You can replace just the ends of the barbell instead of replacing the whole barbell. If you buy the proper type and it's from the same manufacturer, it'll thread on easily without any issues, so you don't have to buy a completely new piece every time something happens to that barbell. Now with that out of the way, let's move on to the negative side of pros and cons. The cons, the disadvantages. And here's 5 of them, starting with they deteriorate and are not very durable inside your mouth. Acrylic will break down, crack, break, etc. They will need to be replaced on a regular basis. I usually suggest replacing them anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. At least checking them if you notice any pitting or any type of the finish has become rougher, changing it immediately. Number 2, they can strip out. There's basically three types of barbell ends. The first type is externally threaded, and that's where the ball threads onto the threading on the post. The next one is internally threaded. Internally threaded has a piece of post or a piece of threading that comes off of it, kind of like a screw, and then threads into the center of the post. The third type is called threadless, or there's a bunch of different names for it, and it's mainly to try to get around a patent. Basically, what it is it's a bent piece of wire attached to a ball. The post is hollow, and the bar, that little piece of wire, is bent slightly so the tension will hold it in place. I generally don't suggest putting threadless or tension style barbells or ends in your mouth. There's always that possibility that they're going to pop loose, and with your tongue where you've got a lot of movement, it's more prone to doing that. You really need something that threads on so that it's secure. So, why do they strip out? Well, there's the two types. The externally threaded, basically you have an issue where often, and in most cases, you have a metal post, which is what I generally suggest. Then you have a plastic ball that screws onto it. Well, metal versus plastic, the plastic's going to eventually strip out. With the internally threaded style, basically they drill kind of a hole or tap the center of the ball, and then they insert a piece of threading, metal threading, and then attach it by, I believe, an epoxy. The epoxy can fail, they can fall off, and then you got to get a new one. So the problem with the stripping, especially with the externally threaded, is sometimes they'll get on so tight they won't come off. If they're 100% acrylic and you've got plastic on plastic, that sometimes can be even worse. So keep that in mind when you're buying acrylic ends. Number 3, you're going to end up ingesting plastic. Now, there really isn't a lot of great information on what the long-term effects of ingesting plastic would be. Generally, we're talking about fairly small amounts. However, especially if you break the ball or the ball shatters, there could be little strands of plastic, little shards of plastic that could enter into your digestive tract, get caught, cause damage, etc., and collect in there. As far as plastic is made chemically based, some of those chemicals are not exactly the best thing to be in the human body. It could possibly cause problems. So keep that in mind. Number 4, cannot be autoclaved. Basically, with acrylic, if you put it in autoclave, it clouds and deteriorates, and it doesn't melt, it just breaks down the integrity of the acrylic. You usually have to kind of just disinfect it and hope for the best. It's not going to be like a metal piece where I can put it in an autoclave and go, yep, no microorganisms in there. I can be 99.999% sure nothing is living inside that package. Number 5, can be damn uncomfortable. My personal experience with wearing acrylic ends in my tongue piercing was horrific. I didn't like the way it felt. It felt rougher. There seemed to be kind of like a seam kind of effect to it that went across it. And where it came in contact with the barbell on both the bottom and the top, it seemed to just agitate the holes like crazy. I did not like it. I know a lot of people are going to go, well, it's the quality of the jewelry you bought. This is something that came from industrial strength. And at that point in time, in the late 90s, it was the high tier of body piercing jewelry, especially acrylic. Yeah, it was not comfortable. You're probably not going to find it comfortable. Maybe you won't be maybe I'm just the prince of the pea kind of situation. I don't know. I didn't find it comfortable at all. With that over with, let's go on to what I consider the best options if you are going to go with acrylic. The first one I already kind of covered. Find internally threaded jewelry if you can. You're going to have a longer lasting piece of jewelry. You're not going to have to worry about it stripping out or getting permanently attached to the barbell. So internally threaded also generally shows a sign of a better manufactured piece of jewelry. Number 2, try to find certified dental acrylic. The reason being is that we want the same material that's used for dentures. Not all acrylic that's on the market is the same material, especially if it's coming from a third world country. There's no third-party certification of what exactly that material is made out of. Dental acrylic is possibly the safest, just basically because people have been using it to make dentures for quite a long time and have not seen a lot of adverse effects of it. So it probably is about your best option. Number 3, avoid glow in the dark, gimmicky stuff, shaped objects, those vibrating ones, and the black light reactive ones. Glow in the dark is a really dumb idea. The chemical compound that'll actually cause it to store up electric or store up light and then spread it out is a carcinogen. It will cause cancer, and you don't want that in your mouth. With shaped objects and gimmicky objects and with sharp points, edges, etc., it's going to do a lot of damage to the rest of your mouth, especially the roof of your mouth. Usually you want a smooth surface. The vibrating things, I don't know what it is, but it seems like I don't hear about them for like 5 years. And then all of a sudden I'll get like 15 phone calls. Do you sell the vibrating tongue jewelry? This stuff has never been a good idea. There's a couple main problems with it. Like most things that are sexual in nature and referred to as toys, it's usually made of really, really crappy plastic. Not the best quality on the planet. I wouldn't suggest wearing it for any length of time. The other problem is you have current going in your mouth. That's not good. And it's going to contain a battery. Battery is a chemical reaction. There's things in there you do not want inside your body, and there's a possibility of swallowing that battery. Not a good situation. So no, don't buy those. And the few people I know that have tried it out over the years have said it didn't work, it wasn't powerful enough, and didn't last long enough. Number 4. Replace the jewelry as soon as you notice any signs of wear. If it starts to get pitted or it seems rough or there seems to be scratches on it, replace the ball as soon as possible, because that means it's breaking down, which means it's more likely to shatter or break into a million pieces, and then there's a possibility of swallowing it. The other thing is you can buy them in bulk because you are going to be replacing them on a regular basis. You can buy 10 or 15 of them and keep them on hand and change them out and replace them as you need. That way you're not going, oh yeah, it's a little worn out, I need to replace it. Better run down to the piercing studio tomorrow or order that online. And then like a week and a half later, you're like, oh yeah, I got to do that. Then a month later, you're like, yeah, I really should do that. And then you have problems. So buy a bunch of them. Have them on hand. There's something you can store in plastic bags, keep it in a safe place, and clean them off right before you get ready to put them on. One final thing. If you are overly concerned or extremely concerned about the health of your teeth, and you're worried about catching it and biting down on the barbell, first off, don't get a tongue piercing. If you're dead set on getting a tongue piercing, you may want to consider getting gold ends. Gold will always crush and deform before your teeth do. It's usually a softer metal, especially if you're getting 18 karat where it's really soft. Yes, it's expensive, but it's not going to be, it doesn't have plastic in it. You're not going to have all that added stress. It's not going to break. And in some cases, you can send it back and have them smelted down and reformed. So that's all I have to say on this subject today. If you feel like I missed something or you have something to add, please make a comment. If you got a question, make a comment. I usually answer them if I have time. Please like the video, especially if you found it educational and helpful. Hit the subscription and the notification bell. We post videos. We'll focus on education on tattooing and body piercing roughly about 4 to 5 times a week, and we would be glad and happy. I don't know, can you be glad and happy at the same time? We would be ecstatic if you would subscribe and continue to watch our videos. If you're a stylish person and you like to be in style, fashionable, and make a statement, and you like swag, check out our merch store. We have lots of various different designs designed by the artists here at Axiom in the Skin Kitchen. Comes in various different styles, types, and etc. Till next week, here's hoping all your piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I hope to see you for your body piercing needs in the future. And also, if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I hope that you dug out of that massive snowstorm and you're staying warm and etc. The rest of you, if it's nice where you're at, you better be outside.